Hi, I'm Frankie. Welcome to Business on the Rise. This podcast is your playbook to learn everything you need to know to launch, grow, and fund your brand. I'm talking to Marisha Lakhiani, Chief Growth Officer of Mindvalley. Marisha is fearless with a focus on solutions rather than problems. Her expertise lies in marketing, psychology, and sales. I love Marisha's drive and hunger for growth and self-development. If you're looking to enhance your marketing skills and cultivate fearlessness, then Marisha is the one you need to hear. Marisha, welcome to our studio. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yay, cool. Now, you are the Chief Growth Officer of Mindvalley. 7 years in the company, and you are related to Vishen Lakhiani?
Yes, I am.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's we grew up in the same household. So growing up, my dad and his dad are cousins.
Right.
Okay. And you know, like Malaysian Indian families, we have massive families,
Yes.
right? So my grandma had 10 kids. Okay, 10 kids. All of them have like 2 or 3 children. So now I have like 35 cousins. So there's a lot of them.
Yes.
I'm not close to each one of them. I'm close to some of them.
Okay.
So Vishen was the oldest of all of them.
Right.
And I was never really close to him growing up. He moved to the US and I was in Malaysia. And then I went to Australia to study and he came back and he set up Mindvalley. And then when he first set up Mindvalley, he told me to join. He was like, you need to join Mindvalley. You're going to have the best time. Like it's a very different working culture. It's very vibrant. It's a startup at this time. Come join. And at that time, I was so determined to be an entrepreneur. I told him never. I'm not working for no one. Like I'm going to build my own company. And if this doesn't work out, maybe I'll hire you, So that I was just like so adamant that was not going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And then I went on my own entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another and just led me back to Mindvalley.
Right.
And yeah, now I work with him. But growing up, we were not really close. But right now, working together, I feel like we've become a lot closer. And we have this level of trust, because at the end of the day, like this person's family, like they have your best intention in mind, They're always thinking about longevity of your business. They're always thinking about your well-being. Like everything they're sharing with you has like a much deeper rooted like love and care and intention, right? So I think that has really helped us like craft our relationship and it's working so well. And also because we're cousins, we're exactly the same level of eccentric.
Right.
So we work on a different pace. We want to innovate. We are always ideating and we have the same personality. So whenever he reacts to certain things or when he appreciates or doesn't appreciate certain things, like I can totally understand him.
Right.
So and I appreciate it because I'm like, yes, we can do much bigger, or this is crap. Let's try again,
Right.
So I think that makes it a lot easier because I feel like I'm just working with myself.
Right. So he's like a male version of you.
He's like a male version of me.
Right.
But
And you think that's why he picked
toned
you out
down.
of all the 35 cousins?
No, I just think I applied and then I got the job so fast and it was just like chance. Yeah.
So there was a proper procedure
There was
where
a
you
proper
had to go
procedure.
for an interview.
I literally applied with my father's name, so no one knew that I applied.
Right.
Because I wanted to see if I got the interview. I didn't want to just call him and say, hey, can I have an interview?
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to use that route.
Yeah.
So I actually applied with my father's name. I went through the interview process. At the final stage of the interview process, he was like, wait, I have to interview this person? And then his team was
So
like,
he didn't
yeah.
realize
He didn't
that
know.
it was you.
No.
Right.
And then he was like, a conflict of interest. I can't interview this person. You have to. So he told his CHRO, he's like, you have to interview this person and then you tell me if this person fits the bill. But I would personally love to have them on board. So I passed all the interviews. I got the job. And then I was there.
Then here you are.
Yeah.
Chief Growth Officer. What does that mean?
So it's actually a hybrid between a CMO and a Chief Revenue Officer.
Right.
So usually CMOs, they don't look at revenue. They're always looking at branding
Yes.
and promotions and marketing.
Yes.
And a lot of them can't actually tie that back down to like the business impact, right? But a Chief Growth Officer is really looking at revenue. So like I look at every single marketing initiative that I do and everything is trackable down to like the exact ROI I make from that initiative. And then based on that, I reallocate the budgets and decide which initiatives I should be scaling, which initiatives I should be cutting, like what the next plan of action is.
Have you always loved marketing?
I have always loved marketing, except when I was a kid. I had no idea what it was. So when I was a kid, like, okay, so growing up in a brown household, you know, like your parents will crush your dreams as you're making them. Like they just don't let you dream. Like it's just not a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So when I was very small, I went to my mom and I was like, I want to be a race car driver.
Yeah.
Like F1. Like, can you imagine the thrill of driving a car and being like a woman? Like, it's so good. I want to do this. She's like, you're crazy. Have you ever seen a woman driver? Like, good woman driver. This is never going to work. Like, crush this dream. So then I was like, okay, I want to go back. I'm going to come up with something better. I said I wanted to be an inventor. I want to invent things, you know? Like, you know, I see people like use something that was invented by someone and then it makes their life so much better. I was like, okay, I want to invent something. I don't know what it is yet, but that's what I want to do. And she was like, yeah, but I mean, how many inventors do you know in the world? You know, come on, you know? And then I went to her, I was like, okay, another one. How about I be a criminal psychologist? That sounds like a lot of fun. Because like, I want to understand how criminals think. What gets them to do what they did? Like we all are human beings, you know? We all, like it's usually circumstances or experiences or something because we're all wired the same way technically. So how do we get to that level? So then I wanted to understand human psychology. And she was like, oh my God, why are you like this? You're going to go crazy. Like, can you imagine going to the prison every day? You're talking to criminals. Like, you're going to ruin your personal life. Find something a little more, you know, normal. So then I went on thinking like, okay, I'll do something normal. Okay, I'm just going to study business because I like making money. And when I was a kid, I was always making money. It's like somehow I would find a way to turn $5 into $100. Like, that was very easy for me. So I decided to do business and I enjoyed it. And then I started my own business. I was doing all of that. And I really enjoyed business. When I joined Mindvalley, my role was marketing. I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest.
Right.
I was learning on the job.
Right.
Okay. But then as I was learning it, I realized like, oh my God, this comes so naturally to me. Like I totally get it. But then it struck me that everything that I ever wanted to do kind of led me to this day because what is marketing really? It's a lot of psychology. You have to understand human behavior. Every human being has cognitive biases. They have a way of thinking. They have a way of making decisions. They have certain things that motivate them and you know and don't motivate them. And once you understand that human behavior, you can convince anyone to do anything practically, right? Essentially marketing, it's the psychology combined with the science, like the race car science, you know, about getting it down to the split second, like being so precise and knowing the tracks and being able to test your time and thinking about how can I optimize this every single time. That again combines, that's marketing as well, right? So it combines so many aspects of marketing, even the innovation of like, okay, how can we do this better? You know, like how can we build a team that can operate better on the racetrack? So I felt like every idea that I had before was essentially a combination of like marketing that I just didn't know was that, right? And then when I started working in Mindvalley, I just was naturally good at picking this stuff up. And I just fell in love. And I just never looked back. And now like I feel like it's a way of life. So everything I do has marketing in it. Like it's like an obsessive freak, right? So I even think about like presence. So it's so simple. Like, you know, I always tell people like everyone's a marketer. And once you start to hone that skill about being creative and thinking about how you're persuading people and how you're trying to get a certain action out of someone, and you think about that, everything you do is marketing. So when I give gifts to people, I spend more effort on packaging the gift. And that's because I want to create an experience for someone. When you open my gift, I don't want you to just open it and be like, oh yeah, thank you. I want you to open it and feel like this whole, you know, like when you open an iPhone, there's so much thought that goes into boxing up that iPhone. So you have like the pressure of unboxing it and everything is designed. So it's an experience. So you actually enjoy the moment of unboxing it and it makes the spending on the product worthwhile. So I put a lot of effort into like packaging gifts. When I want my CEO to buy into a strategy that I know he's going to say no to, I put a whole plan of action into place of how I'm going to convince him.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, it's a whole plan. It's never the pitch. So I do this whole thing where it's like never the pitch at the strategy meeting.
Yeah.
I have sold him before he comes to the meeting. And how I do that, it's like, I'll make a deck and I won't pitch him anything. I'll just say, hey, you know, so I'm thinking about this idea and I think this idea is going to work because of this. And I'll subtly drop it in and he'll tell me why it works or doesn't work. So he'll tell me his first initial thought. I'll refine the idea and I'll kind of bring it up again to see how he resonates. And maybe he's not a hard no. He's like a semi, yes, maybe interested.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. Then I'll tell him that I have a big presentation for him and I'll remind him 3 times how he's going to be so impressed with his presentation. So he gets excited. So he actually shows up and pays attention. start texting him, reminding him, he shows up. And then I have this like whole presentation thought through, like planned based on all the feedback he had given me before and all the objections. So that way he can't say no. So it's like, it goes in, but that's marketing.
That sounds like an obsession.
But it's marketing.
Yeah.
It's really understanding who you're talking to,
Yes.
what they care
Knowing
about.
the audience, yes.
Yeah.
But
And-
it also sounds like you're not just a marketeer. You are a marketeer, but also a saleswoman. Marketing and then sales is a function of marketing, but you do both.
Yes.
You're not just marketing, but you're convincing. So how do you become a good marketeer and convert that into sales? Because that seems to be what you're really good at.
Yeah, so ideally, like there's two types of marketers, right? There's the sales marketers and then there's the digital marketers. So the digital marketers are just the ones that haven't been so refined. They just know how to like A/B test. They have the concepts in their head. But once you become good at sales, you become good at persuasion. Which is why I think when you learn marketing, you it's not good enough just to learn like, okay, the context, the strategies, the tactics. That's what everyone learns in school, university, right? That's not good enough. The most important thing you need to learn is the psychology.
Yeah.
It's like how people think. Why would they think? Like what will convert them, convince them? Once you start to understand that part, you can literally convince anyone. You like your strategies are going to work because they're going to resonate. You know, so that's the most important part.
You know, companies have two departments.
Yes.
They separate marketing and they separate sales.
Right.
When I think they should be integrated. How do you feel about that? Should they all be integrated?
100%. They should all be integrated. Like my team does sales right now. They
Yeah.
do sales and marketing.
Right.
Like 99% of the company's revenue actually comes from my team, and my team's a marketing team.
Wow. Okay. And you're now managing a lot of people and also managing a revenue of about 120 million a year.
170 this year.
Excuse me, 170 million. Doesn't that scare you? Like for me, it's like, oh my God, I'm trying to get to 1.7 million and 17 million, and here we are, 170 million. Does that scare you? Or has it ever scared you? And if it doesn't, what scares you? Do you have any fear?
So I feel like every human being has fear.
Yes.
Things used to scare me before. So when you do something for the first time, it always scares you because it's new, it's foreign. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. But as you do things, they stop scaring you because you know you're doing the right thing, you're doing it with the right intention. So these things don't scare me anymore. So like growing up, my biggest fear was losing my mom. That was my biggest fear. Then I lost my mom.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So, and I got past that, right? So I thought I was not going to be able to live past that. I was like, this is game over. Like my biggest fear just happened and I got past that. Then I had a fear of driving a car. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to learn how to drive a car? This thing is like monstrous, so freaking confusing. There's like, I have to do 20 different things. And then now I drive on autopilot. I don't even think about it. And I can get from A to B. When I joined Mindvalley, I was scared as well. When I started my first business, I was scared. So the first time you do anything, you're going to be scared. Now I'm not scared anymore. Everything that I was scared about has already happened. I survived it. Like if we're given the problem, we're also given the answers. We just need to trust ourselves to figure it out. So I don't get scared anymore. The only thing that really scares me is to be like 80 years old and feel like I didn't have any experiences. I didn't live my life. I didn't live up to my potential. And I just like wasted my life. So right now I'm more in that mind space of like, let's take the risk, like what's the worst that can happen? I went skydiving in Dubai like a couple of months ago. And that was like scary at first, but I'm like, oh my God, can I do it again? So everything will scare you at first, but once you do it, you're like, okay, can we just get this done with?
Wow. And so do you take that approach all the time in every situation, whether it's personal or work?
Yeah.
And let's just say Mindvalley and Vision says to you, I want to expand even more. I want to double the digit by, 3-4 years. Has the fear ever come into play that you're like, shit, can I do this?
No, never.
So you just take it like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm the person that gets excited. I was like, he's like, let's 2x. So I'll tell you a story that's really funny. So basically, it was during COVID, right? Now all the businesses were suffering during COVID.
Yeah.
And we used to do a lot of these physical events, physical meetups. We used to film courses physically with the authors. That all shut down. So our whole business had to take a turn. Now, I did want to give something back to my community because I was like, I kind of have to keep them engaged. I want to do something for them. They must be going through like mental health issues. But what can I do? So I wanted to organize a virtual summit. So a personal development virtual summit for my community, free. So everyone could just join, have a great time, and I can build a list. So I was like, okay, this is a list building exercise for Mindvalley. Also branding. And then I spoke to Vishen. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's totally do it. That's gonna be so fun. Like I'm down. And we were on the call, and he's like, okay, we'll just come up with the target and decide and, figure it out. My team goes to our weekly meeting, and they propose, we're going to get 50,000 people to attend this virtual summit. We're so excited. We're already ready, kicking things off. And I was like, 50,000 people? That is not inspiring. Like, how is that inspiring? How will that wake you up in the day where you're like, whoa, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Smart people really want to work on big challenges. That excites them. So I told them, I'm like, okay, Google right now, what is the largest virtual personal development summit that you've ever found? They're like 70K. I think the largest online summit is 70K. I was like, we're going to do 200K. I just like threw a number out. And they looked at me, they're like, I'm going to kill you, but I can't quit as well because it's COVID. Like, who knows? Like, just let's do this. But I kid you not, their whole mindset and energy changed. First thing, they got super excited because then they started to think bigger. They're like, okay, what if I get influencers? What if I did this? What if I did that? They started to create different solutions to the same problem. The team started working better because now they were all like, okay, we are going to throw the largest personal development event in the history of the world. How are we going to do it? So literally, is to come to all the meetings, huddling up and being like, okay, how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? And every time they got a win, they would go to the like our A report, which is like our weekly meeting, and celebrate like we got really close. We got this speaker. Where this is happening, and we're going to throw the world's largest personal development event. They literally manifested it. Kid you not, I saw the final results. 198,000 people.
Wow.
198,000 people. They could have done that. They were just thinking too small.
Wow.
And human beings, we're capable of anything. It's crazy what we're capable of. So I honestly believe if you give yourself like 2 hours to clean your room, you're going to take 2 hours. If you give yourself 30 minutes to clean your room, you'll take 30 minutes. It's how do you want to challenge yourself?
So what stops us from being fearless like you? Like I have a lot of fears.
Yeah.
I'm also an auntie.
So am I.
Midlife. I'm on a midlife crisis at the moment, perimenopausal and all of that. So being an entrepreneur myself, once upon a time I had less fear, but now I fear more. Do you think that comes with age? Do you think age has something to do with it? The fact that you're younger, you have more energy. Do you think that's a contributing factor?
I don't think so. And I can't speak for everyone because I feel like everyone has their own journey and challenges and I don't want to stereotype. But I genuinely feel like everything should scare you a little. If your dreams are big, if your goals are big, if what you're doing means a lot to you, it should scare you a little.
Yeah.
But the question is, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
So many people on podcasts, they always ask me, they're like, oh my God, I have so many ideas. I want to be resilient and I want to like implement all my great ideas. You know how many people have ideas? Like the guy in the Mamak has ideas. The CEO of this company has ideas. Everyone has ideas. It's nothing special. The differentiator is the person that executes on that ideas. Now you can have 200 ideas, but which one are you willing to go all in on? So as a woman, right? I think women have it the hardest because like you're a mom, right? When you committed to saying, okay, I want to have a child, how much did you have to put your body through to have your child? Like a crazy amount. I'm sure even being a reporter in those days, like early on, like I'm sure you had to push through boundaries, deal with a lot of shit to get there, to even get get the interviews and get treated with respect. And I'm sure it was hard. Like I cannot doubt that. The question is, you wanted it that bad. And I think a lot of people, they like the idea of entrepreneurship. They like the idea of having so many goals and of being successful. They don't want it enough. If they had that idea that really scared them and it was like, okay, this is it, but this is it. I feel this in my bones that I really want to do this. You would go all in.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling you now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of reliving myself in my back then where I was fearless and I wanted it so bad. And now there's certain things that I want to do in my business as well. And I keep wanting to expand. But my thought's like, okay, if I do expand, what compromises am I going to make?
Yes.
Right. And so those compromises are like, do I then have less time with my children?
Yeah.
less time
agree.
with my friends and all of that. So,
and maybe that's not important to you anymore. It's like you like the business the way it is, but what
Yeah.
you really love is spending time with your kids, and you don't want anything to come in the way of that. And that's what you're all in on, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
have you had to make any compromises with your dreams and goals and expansion with Mindvalley? Because you were saying that you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you
Right.
still have that vision of being your own boss and creating your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you? Would you still keep, would you still be with Mindvalley, but at the same time be able to create your own brand?
So I really love what I've built in Mindvalley, but I also really want to build something outside Mindvalley. And I feel like Vision and Mindvalley, they're very supportive of entrepreneurship, which is why it really works for me. Because if I go to him and tell him right now, like, hey, I'm building this platform, I want to build this. Like, I went to him with this idea for social media. I never even asked him for funding. I was just telling him, like, yeah, because he was like, hey, can you advise my friend on building this AI platform for social media? I was like, I can't, because I'm building it. I'm not going to advise your friend on how to build something that I'm already building. And he's like, oh man, why didn't you tell me? I would have given you money for that. So like, I don't feel like he dims your light on entrepreneurship. I actually feel he supports it. So I feel like I don't feel like I'm not getting what I want out of life. I'm just in like the midst of like, okay, what really excites me that I can go all in on? I haven't had that click yet. And I have a lot of ideas that I can execute, and I'm sure I can execute and pass it on. Like, I built up a bunch of different businesses and I passed it on. So like a lot of my friends are running some of it, but it's nothing that really excites me on like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm all in. Like, I can't sleep because I'm constantly thinking about this idea. There's just ideas that I have and I think I'm good at, and I can just do this on the side, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but do you think that maybe, I'm just guessing here, the fact that you're with Mindvalley, somebody else is investing in somebody else's money, right? Whereas when you become an entrepreneur, it's you.
It's you, yeah.
Investing your time and your money, you're putting all that risk on yourself. Do you think that stopped you from like having this click, right, I'm all in now?
Yeah. I do think to a degree it probably does. Like, knowing that I have to put in all the money, but I have been saving for like this moment. So literally I'm like mentally prepared for that jump, I've been mentally preparing myself. I'm like, I'm going to make this jump. Just like when I feel this idea is right, I'm going to go all in.
Right.
But I'm just waiting for that idea to stand out. And there's a couple of ideas that I'm building with people that I really like and I work with. And I feel like those are really substantial ideas, and I'm willing to invest in that as well. But it's still not that idea that kind of speaks to me that also ties to impact. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about leadership. So you have a team of about 100 people?
So during COVID, I had 100 people. Now we're a lot leaner.
Okay.
So right now the team's like 60 people.
Okay. That's still a big number. So what's your leadership style like? I mean, are you the very, very assertive, authoritative type, or are you like, hey buddy, let's go and have a drink and talk this out?
I am like just a crazy person. So I'm all
How
of it.
How crazy are you?
I'm all of it.
Okay.
So like there's a moment where I can be in a meeting, they'll pitch to me something and I'm like, what is this absolute garbage? Like, we never even did this. This is all the things wrong with it. We need to start from zero. Or I'll come to the meeting and I'll start cracking jokes and like, can you please pay attention to this meeting? So I'm like all of it. But I guess the way I really like to lead is with intention. I genuinely care about my people. Like, there's nothing that I want more than my people to be successful. Like, my number one rule. So how I work with them is that I always tell them that you will always get credit for all the work that you deliver. Failures, I will take responsibility. You never have to apologize for anything that goes wrong. That will always be my fault. But anything that goes right, you can go brag about it, talk about it to anyone, and you can take full ownership. But what I don't want you to do is think small. Like, I want you to play big. I want you to innovate. I want you to disrupt. I don't need 20% better. I need like 200% better.
Yeah. I want to go back again to your obsession. Entrepreneurs are known to be obsessive over certain things. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are obsessive about problems and solving those problems. And I'm guessing you're one of them. Why is it that you are so different from other entrepreneurs? I mean, people generally don't like change. People generally fear of change, and people are afraid of problems. But you're not. you just like solving them. And are all problems just, do you like problems so that you can just solve them? Are you just like that in general, in business and personally?
I think to a degree, because for me, I feel like every problem gives me an opportunity to find a creative way to solve it. For me, I don't think any problem is not solvable. Everything's fixable.
Yeah.
So instead of reacting
Everything
to the problem,
is fixable.
Fixable.
Wow. Okay.
So I feel like everything is fixable. Instead of reacting to the problem and kind of like making it out to be bigger than it needs to be and all of that stuff. So I always literally immediately when they come to me with a problem, I literally immediately have a solution. And it could be like as small little things. Like when I was working with my team, I was trying to train my team on that. Because at one point we do a lot of launches, right? So launches, they're like time bound. So maybe this product has to go live on like a Monday. That means we're going to have thousands of people going to this product on a Monday. Everything has to be pristine. Everything has to be like on point, like no spelling errors. Everything has to be perfect. And they'll come to me and they're like, oh my God, I have to tell you something. Like we have a massive screw up and this video is not ready. What do I do? And this video is supposed to go on the page. And I was like, hide this section. Like, hide it. When you have the video, put it back up. So I was like, every time they come to me with a big problem, I'm like, this is not a problem. Just like, do this. Or like, just remove the video, make it text, you know? Like, if you're going to get crazy about all these small problems, how are you going to deal with like much bigger problems, right? So to me, every time there's a problem, I was like, okay, there's definitely a solution. It's just like, how can my brain figure out what the solution is for this, you know? So I always try to look at it as like a challenge. And my brain doesn't even stop for a second to be like, oh my God, this is over. My brain's always like, oh my God, okay, so what do I do next?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that is just a mindset? And do you think that's just, it's innate?
To a degree, I think it is. And also when you're really busy, because you're a mom, you know this, you don't have time. You know, you don't have time. You're just like, okay, next thing. Like your daughter will come home today and she'll say like, look, I just destroyed all this stuff. And you're like, oh, it's just move on. I start to cook dinner, you know? So I think it's a bit of that as well. It's just like, there's no time because I have to focus on the next thing. And in a few months, this will be obsolete. This is not going to be something that I worry about in 5 years. So I actually apply this to my relationships as well. I don't like to fight over things that I'm not going to be angry about in 5 years. So if I'm not going to be angry about it in 5 years, this shouldn't be a problem today.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's a great philosophy that we can all learn from. Really. What's your power, you think? I mean, I can list it down just by what you said. You're fearless. You're a risk taker. You only see solutions. You don't see problems. I mean, those are great qualities of not just in business, I think, but personally as well. Because we're all going to have issues at some point, right? But if you have that kind of mindset and that attitude of just let's solve and not think about the problem, then those are super skills. Right. And I feel that they're superpowers. What are the superpowers you have?
Okay, this might sound a little woo-woo, but
I like woo-woo sometimes.
Just hear me out.
Yeah.
So I really believe that I have very good intuition.
Okay.
And I kid you not, it's really weird, but I just have gut feelings for everything. Like what feels right, what doesn't feel right, it just comes really in my gut. And there's many times where I go to sleep and I have a dream, and in my dream I'm like solving a problem, or I feel like something broke down, or someone's having a conversation with me. And in my dream I see it, and then I wake up and I was like, oh, we have to solve this, or we have to look at this, or I have to pay this bill. And I just have this in my head. And then when I wake up, I execute on it. And I kid you not, in like a couple of days, like my CEO will come to me and say, I think we should look at this. And I was like, on it. Already there, 50%. You'll get it on Monday. So
do you have good sleeps then? It sounds like your sleep is interrupted by
I
like
just get messages. Like messages, you know, that comes to the surface where it's like I know what to do. Because I also believe that I have all the answers. I just need to spend enough time with myself to decide what feels the most right. What's the next step of action? So even when I go through a lot of problems where I feel like stuck, I just need to journal because I have the answer. I know what to do next. I just need to spend time with myself to get clear on what feels like the best decision forward.
So on that note, right, if you're speaking to an entrepreneur now, what advice would you have for them minus your superpowers? If we don't have superpowers like you do, what are some of the top 3 tips or 5 tips that you want to communicate to them, and some of the stuff that you've learned in your career, whether it's before Mindvalley or now?
The first thing I would say is like, you have to decide on something and commit to it.
Yeah.
Like when I wanted to be CMO, I was not CMO. I was literally in my bed. I was like head of marketing and I was like, what is my next step? Like, what is my next goal? I don't have a goal. And then I decided, I was like, I want to be CMO of Mindvalley. And if it's not Mindvalley, it's some other company, but CMO is what I want to be. And then I bought like a plaque on my table. Then I bought all the possible courses and books on being a CMO. Then I started to ask myself, like, what would a CMO in this situation? What kind of conversations would they have? How would they pitch their strategies? Would it be different? Like, how do I need to behave? Like, what's the identity shift? Because if I always behaved like a junior marketer, I would never be respected as a CMO, right? Your whole identity needs to change. So I committed to it. Like, there was no just like, hey, that would be really cool. It was more like, I'm all in on this, you know? And kid you not, they actually hired me a CMO. They actually hired me a boss that was a CMO. And then like, it was a couple of months where I was like, okay, I have a boss now. My dream is crushed. Like, what do I do now? And then after 3 months, I was like, okay, shit, I'm going to quit. Like, this is not my thing. And I quit. And then they were like, no, we're going to give you the CMO title. Here you go.
So what did they do? What happened to the...
Oh, she didn't make it. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, so then I got the title. So you just have to commit that this is what you're going to take, and everything will conspire to make sure you have it, right? But yeah, I don't think people commit enough. I feel like they like the idea of doing all these things. They like the idea of the titles and the success and all of that stuff, but they're not willing to put in the work, and everything takes work. So firstly, the commitment. Second thing I would say is what I didn't do, but I think is very valuable, is to get a mentor. Someone who's already done it before. Because once you learn from someone who's already done it multiple times or has done it before, you just avoid making those mistakes. You can actually just get the shortcut.
You skip all the
learning, you know? So I feel like you can grow 10 times faster. And the third thing that I feel like a lot of people don't do enough is like really focus on growth. Like really focus on growth. A small little thing can throw them off track. Like a breakup, oh my God, 3 years later, they're still going over that still breakup. Like a small little thing can throw you off track, but you really got to sit there and be like, okay, what did I learn from this situation? How can I be better? Next time, this is not going to happen again. Like, I'm going to be better, you know? Because there's always like two people at play, right? So always looking at every single opportunity as a way to be better, to grow. I think that's the most important. And then I think fourth, that's my last one, is that you really got to spend a lot of time with yourself. Because if not, we get into this like autopilot mode where we're just doing things on autopilot. We're doing things that are expected of us, but we've lost any relationship with ourselves. Like, what do we want? Is this what I still want? You know, am I happy? Is this still my goal? You know, do I have different goals? You know, like really spending time with yourself so you can understand what's in your head and what's in your heart. That really changes the game and makes sure you're on the right track. You're not just wasting time wandering, you know? So I think if you do these 4 things, you're just going to be on this like accelerated path to growth and success.
I'm going to want you to expand a little bit more on the fourth part. Yeah. And you say that we need to spend a little bit more time on ourselves and invest in ourselves. There's a lot of talks now, especially now, about health and wellness and really taking the time and investing in yourself. Like, how do you invest in yourself, and how should we invest in ourselves? I know there's different ways. Different people have different interests and they deal with issues differently, but realistically, how do you look after yourself? You've got a big role, but how do you make sure that you also play a role in your overall health?
So I look at my time as very sacred.
Yes.
And if it's my time, I don't let anything get away into my time. So for example, if someone books a meeting with me at 8 a.m., there's like almost no way I'm showing up. And I'm going to tell everyone like, oh, I'm meditating. Oh, I'm going for a walk. Enjoy the meeting. You know, so like I just set my boundaries.
So you don't compromise on that?
No, I don't compromise on my boundaries. And I had to learn this later on in life because when I was younger.
Does that piss people off?
Not when you're... It depends. Not when you prove yourself a little bit of time. When you prove yourself a little bit, I don't think that it does anymore. I think they actually value it and they learn from it and they're like, oh, I need to do that. They start to have more respect for you.
Yeah.
I actually feel when I started setting boundaries, I felt like people's demeanor towards me changed and they actually had more respect for me. They respected my boundaries. But so basically your mind, like having a routine for your mind and for your body, that's really important.
Yeah.
And then having times carved out where that's just your time. Now, how you use your time is your call. So if you want to spend it on journaling, you want to spend it on walking, you want to spend it on red light therapy and cooking, or spending time with not with your kids, but by yourself, like whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, watch a movie by yourself, anything goes. But as long as you have time with yourself, because it helps you just stay connected. So I do that a lot. And I'm also not married, so I think it's a lot easier, but I have a lot of time with myself. So in the morning when I wake up, I spend 2 hours with myself every morning. I have like my morning practice. I always make sure I make it to the gym no matter what. I don't make excuses.
Yep.
And then I even do solo trips sometimes. Like every year I might do a solo trip somewhere. So I get to be by myself. Every week I spend time like just journaling and reflecting on if I'm doing the right thing. Like if I'm doing the right thing for Mindvalley, if I can do better, is this still my focus? What am I doing for my personal life? Like I want to start creating content and building my personal brand. So it's like, okay, how much am I doing for that? And if I'm not dedicating enough time to that, how much time should I be dedicating? So just like reevaluating and just getting crystal clear on what I want to get out of my next week and planning. I think that just changes the game, because you're just always aligned and you know whatever you're doing is the best thing for you. You're doing your best.
You're kind of like a one of a kind, I feel, though. Like you don't always meet people like you. It's not every day. You know what I mean? Like a lot of young people, I'm not quite sure how young you are.
I don't want to say it on the podcast. Don't let me say it. Don't let me say it in public.
You look great. A lot of young people are not as self-assured, and they make a lot of compromises. I certainly did when I was younger. I kind of was a bit of a people pleaser. Yes and no, but there was a lot of elements of that. Saying yes a lot and not saying no enough. And you learn this now when you're mid-age and you're in a bit of a crisis with your body and your mind. And therefore, you don't take crap as much and you don't want to make compromises. But you've like learned that it looks like you've skipped like 10 years, right? And you've developed this mind of a 40-year-old woman who doesn't take shit from anybody, who knows exactly what she wants, doesn't make compromises. You seem to have all the ticks. How did you become this? I'm still curious. I'm still trying to get stuff out here,
Yeah, so I think
spill it.
It's the learning part, the growth part. Like I told you, like growth is very important to me. So I'm always thinking about how I can grow, how we can develop new skills, what can I learn? Like what am I even hired a coach at one point to understand like how do I hired a it's funny, I had a coach to teach me hypnotherapy, breath work, and then also to teach me how to say no.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to be able to say no.
Take note, people. Coach to say no.
I literally hired a coach to teach me how to say no, because I was like, if my team calls me and tells me they want to have a chat with me, they want to share with me they want to share their problems with me. Sometimes they call me at 11 p.m. and I feel like I need to be there for them, and they might be going through something, and I want to show up for them. At one point, I was like, I can't keep doing this for every single person that calls me. There's like 60 of them. So I just decided I need to say no when I wanted to say no. So I hired a coach to teach me how to say no, and she basically kind of reframed the way I was thinking about things. But it's like everyone's problem, But it's like, are you aware enough to know, like, okay, this is something I want to work on. Okay, what can I do to invest in this? And I do this with everything. So, for example, I want to hire a social media. I want to grow my social media. So I'm trying to create content. And I did create content by myself, and I had an editor, and they were creating content. And I was like, no, I really want to create content. I'm all in. I hired 3 people. I didn't even think about it. I hired 3 people, because if I hire 3 people, they're going to hold me accountable, and I'm going to make content no matter what, because I'm paying them. So I wanted to get fit, and I was like, okay, I want to get like ab lines. And I was like, okay, how to get ab lines? I was like, I need to have a coach. I need to have like my food dialed in. I need to have all of this, and I paid.
Can you show us the ab line? I'm kidding.
But you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you just have to invest in your growth. So a lot of people, I speak to my team as well, and they tell me, they're like, oh, I really want to do this. And I'm like, okay, so are you willing to invest in it?
Yeah.
Like, get a coach, like get the team, hire someone, talk to the agency, like really invest in yourself. When you're willing to do that, you're going to grow 10 times faster. So I think that's just like a different way of solving problems, because most people are like, yeah, I'll go to the gym, I'll figure it out. It's not that hard. And it's true, it's not that hard, but are you the person that can do this 4 times a week for the rest of your life? No, if not, get a coach.
Great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was unexpected, actually. Coming into this,
I actually tell people that I'm really lazy. So I tell people that I'm really lazy.
I think that's the opposite of what I see.
And I actually outsource all my problems. So the way I look at it is like I can't.
You're in the business of outsourcing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym all the time, and I find it such a struggle. So I hired the coach, so he holds me accountable, and then I go to the gym. So I basically solve my problems by hiring people or like outsourcing it to someone else.
Maybe that should be like your next gig. That should be like your business model.
Yeah.
Like outsourcing people's problems.
Yeah.
You take it in. You don't actually specifically solve it yourself, but you get different people, coaches, to like go to them.
Yeah.
So
honestly,
you become like the yellow page of problem solving for everybody, whether it's personal or work, growth, mommy problem, daddy problem.
I'm telling you, it's the way to do it.
Right.
If you don't want to put enough effort to solve it, or if you've got a lot on your plate or whatever, just outsource it.
Sounds like a good idea, hey? I'm learning so much here. Marisha, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Frankie.
For your time. Is there any other question that we haven't really talked about that you want to talk about?
No, I think you covered all of them. There were like 15.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
Do you want to tell like other of your philosophy that we missed out on?
No, I think we're
Tips that we missed out on? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you for tuning in to Business on the Rise. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel.